Welcome to Econoful and welcome to Meet the Curriculum. I'm Kathleen Cusack, the curriculum specialist here at Econoful, and I'm so excited to share with you the resources that we have available and that we continue to make available. Let's jump in and get started to see what is going to be useful for you. Here are our objectives for this video. Pause to review the objectives and then let's tackle them. We will divide our time between these three sections. You will be able to determine how much or how little time you allocate exploring the resources available on our website. Let's dig into what you can expect from our curriculum and the guiding principles that inform our work. The semester big ideas and essential questions frame the learning throughout the course. All assessments and learning opportunities are created to allow students to explore this big idea and these essential questions. In alignment with backward design, we have created the big ideas and essential questions for all 5 units. Take a moment to look over this slide. Think about the degree to which our semester plan matches the course you teach or your district parameters. Think about how this compares, what stands out to you, or what you notice. Creating a complete curriculum that is grounded in the science of teaching and learning takes time. Here you can see our tentative schedule for completion of the full 1 semester on-level high school course. As we complete lessons and units, we update our website so that teachers can immediately use our resources. You can head over to econoful.org to see what is available now. Educators using this curriculum can rely on our materials to meet all of these criteria. One piece I'd like to highlight is that current research in the field of economics and economics education tells us that economics has room to improve when it comes to diversity within the field and student retention. In response to that research, our curriculum strives to spotlight the diversity within the field of economics so students can see that economics is more than just stock markets. It's individuals deciding whether or not to get married, firms determining how much to spend on advertising, understanding why the cost of a life-saving drug can be so expensive, exploring the impact a zip code can have on one's lifetime income, and so much more. When students see that economics is relevant to them, they see a place for themselves in the field. Our curriculum will ask students to interact with one another. Students will engage with rigorous tasks and authentic scenarios. They will connect economic thinking to their lives, solve problems while thinking like an economist, and assess their own thinking. And in all likelihood, they will fall head over heels for economics. We believe that to fulfill our mission, our curriculum must be couched in current educational research. From that research, we have distilled these 4 principles. The first principle, transfer, is the ability of students to take what they have learned in the classroom and apply it to novel contexts, both in and out of school. The second guiding principle is centered around cognitive science, or the study of how people encode, organize, and retrieve information. Instructional practices grounded in cognitive science are thoughtfully integrated into the curriculum's design and explicitly highlighted for students. In the curriculum, you will see retrieval practice, which focuses on pulling information out of students' heads, thereby actively generating knowledge from memory. We use interleaving or intentionally creating practice opportunities that incorporate past content and skills so that students are required to select the appropriate strategy for solving a problem or answering a question. Metacognition moments are built in to provide students with opportunities for reflection on what they know and don't know in order to guide future behavior. The third guiding principle is one you're familiar with if you've spent any time in education, backward design. This is a framework to ensure that all components serve the ultimate goal of a curriculum and are organized into meaningful patterns to increase the likelihood that students can apply their knowledge and skills to new and unfamiliar problems. Backward design dovetails with the concept of transfer. Transfer can be thought of as that desired outcome, and backward design is the roadmap to achieve it. Finally, students who are shown the reason why consistently and are reminded of the purpose of an activity or assessment are able to begin making sense of it all, instead of being bogged down by minutiae. Students can focus on big ideas and connections, and this leads to a more flexible understanding and increases students' ability to effectively transfer their learning. We recognize that because of our adherence to these guiding principles, some elements that are traditionally included in an introduction to economics course are not emphasized in our curriculum. We've pared down the number of economic concepts addressed in the course so we can spend more time on a smaller number of fundamental economic principles. We think it's important to acknowledge that this may be off-putting for experienced economic educators, and we did not make these decisions lightly. We've made this decision based on the current research in the field, such as targeting economic literacy, which indicates that students who are given opportunities to think deeply about a shorter list of economic concepts are more likely to retain the information. Students who do pursue future economics courses are not adversely affected by this literacy targeted approach. That being said, our curriculum is designed for 45-minute periods over the course of a 16-week semester, so many educators will have room to include additional components that they're particularly passionate about. Now that you're familiar with the guiding principles, we will move into part 2 and describe how the curriculum is organized, as well as how materials are arranged for each unit and each lesson. The Econoful curriculum is designed to be completed over 16 weeks with 5 45-minute lessons taught each week. We intentionally built it within this time frame to account for scheduled disruptions such as required testing. Lessons are written for a 45-minute class period based on information collected from our members. If you have longer class periods, you'll be able to spend more time on various exercises or build in extensions for topics that you're particularly passionate about. Now, let's take a moment to dig into what these materials look like and how to use them. This gives you an idea of what to expect when you access any of our lessons at econoful.org. At the top, we identify the unit and where within the unit the lesson is intended to be taught. Lessons build on one another and are designed to be used sequentially, but individual lessons can be pulled out and integrated into an existing curriculum. If you plan to use one of the lessons in isolation, we recommend you use the unit overview documents to ensure students have the necessary prior knowledge. These documents can be found on each unit page on the website. Below this, we have a brief overview of the lesson. Next, you see the learning objectives. Learning objectives are where you and your students will see direct and explicit connections to all components of the lesson. Then we have the relevant unit big ideas and relevant essential questions. Beneath that are the materials that are required for the lesson. In the materials section, we include any handouts that students need, keys, class copies, etc. And we always include instructional slides. A helpful note about the materials section is that we have individually hyperlinked a separate copy of each of the required materials to enable easy posting to any learning management system such as Google Classroom or Schoology. The materials are also included within the lesson plan document for easy printing. To more quickly move from one part of the lesson plan to another, use the outline section on the left side of the Google document window. Click on the icon as shown here to open the outline. This will allow you to move to any part of the lesson document without having to scroll through all the pages. All materials are provided as live documents, and you can see when documents were last updated by looking at the footer on the first page. You can make a copy of these documents in your own Google Drive by going to File, Make a Copy, or you can download these documents by going to File, Download, and then you can edit these documents to best fit your students' needs. After the materials section, we have the lesson sequence, which includes approximately how many minutes to spend in each section and the relevant slide numbers from the instructional slides. In response to research on the importance of transparency and metacognition, we identify common misconceptions in the lesson sequence. An example of this can be seen here in the lesson sequence for the law of demand. We identify these common misconceptions, or what we refer to as stumbling blocks, so that educators can proactively address them. Here's an example of what the student-facing instruction slides look like. You can see here that we use this graphic of a person stumbling in the instruction slides so that students know that this is a common confusion and that they ought to pay special attention to the explanation to avoid future mistakes. This allows students to engage in metacognition to prevent their own possible stumbling. We recognize that educators who will use these resources range from first-year economic educators to seasoned veterans. To accommodate both groups, we have included the general sequence in the lesson instructions, as we just looked at. This provides more experienced economic educators with the basic information needed to implement the lesson. As mentioned, each lesson includes instructional slides. And On slides where applicable, we've included additional support in the notes section on the slides. It could be further explanation of stumbling blocks like you see here, or it could be further examples of concepts, step-by-step solutions for practice problems, and everything you might need to feel confident while teaching this to your students. Now that we've talked about what the individual materials look like, let's take some time to explore how to get to these resources and what we have to offer on our website. Here we are at econoful.org. All of the lessons and assessments that are available can be found by clicking on the Lesson Plans dropdown and hovering over Units, and selecting whichever unit you would like to explore. You can scroll down and see and access the lessons available from that unit. To view the assessments, make sure that you are logged in, and then you can scroll down below Lessons and see the assessment blocks. If you aren't already a member, learn more about the membership by clicking on Apply for a Membership. Feel free to pause the video and visit econoful.org to preview the lessons and assessments that are available. We would love to hear your experience using our lessons. After you've implemented one of our lessons, please take a moment to provide us with your insights. This is done by visiting econoful.org and hovering your mouse over Lesson Plans, Units, and clicking on Feedback Form. This will take you to a Google form that will take about 10 minutes for you to complete and asks you to tell us about your experience using our lessons. It is extremely helpful to receive feedback from educators after they implement the lesson so that we can continue to improve the resources available to everyone. You can also provide us with feedback through the lesson document by clicking on the feedback and questions and then clicking on the Click Here link. This will take you to the same Google form. Either way, we want to hear how the lesson went. We are nearing the end, but before you go, here again are the learning objectives you saw at the beginning. I hope you agree that you are able to do the things described on this slide. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to learn about the lessons we have available at econoful.org. Please contact me with questions or suggestions at kathleen@econoful.org. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you.